Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I go any further, let me go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And as a reminder, my presentation and the Options with Doug channel in Bookmap Discord is very focused, and the focus is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. And let me just check. Okay, for those watching on YouTube, I apologize. There was a technical issue yesterday, and apparently the streaming did not work on YouTube. So again, I apologize, and it looks like it is working okay today. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first step is planning, and I use positional analysis. And what that means is I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market, excuse me, and how those positions shift from day to day to help develop a thesis for expected volatility for the day, expected trading range, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. And I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and to plan and execute trades, define setups. And I think positional analysis, just to clarify what that is, I think it's a new way of looking at the market. And other traders use technical analysis or fundamental analysis, and I find that positional analysis provides me with a significant edge. And on-topic questions and comments are very welcome, both in Bookmap Discord as well as YouTube. And I will look at both for your questions and comments and try to answer. So today, first of all, I want to say a special welcome to everyone today, the diehards here on the day before Christmas weekend. So thank you for watching, thank you for attending, and again, thank you in advance for your questions and comments. All right, so today I'm going to talk about, and you're welcome, Moonwalker. And today I'm going to, my agenda, I'm going to talk about some news items that came out this week, and or today specifically. And the reason that I talk about the news is it has, especially this year with the Fed in play, it's had a large impact on price action during the day, and potentially how traders are positioned in the options market. And then after that, I'll go through my position analysis for the day, and then we'll talk about some setups. Okay, so first of all, news items for today. And there were a couple of news items out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then, and that was the primarily the, let me scroll down here just a little bit. First, that was primarily the durable goods orders shown here, and that was worse than expected. So at least yesterday, the market was in a good news is bad news scenario, and that the strong GDP, I think, contributed to the drop in the market yesterday, the S&P 500 and most other stocks that I follow. So today maybe bad news is good news, just the opposite of that. And then the second was um, this PCE, which came in line with forecast, and that's this top item here. And then the second news item was the consumer sentiment, and that came in a little bit better than forecast. And then this home sales, it looks like it's about the same as what was forecast. So those are the news items, and the market has reacted mostly mostly bullish today. So the ES, S&P 500, and SPX are up marginally, about 1/3% or so. Okay, let's start with position analysis now, and I'm going to go to the S&P 500, and this is the ES futures, S&P 500 futures, and what I'm showing, I have two columns that I use Bookmap Cloud Notes to mark notes on my chart. And the first is this SG column, and that's the Spotgamma Cloud Notes. And these levels shown are in terms of SPX converted to an equivalent ES price. So right now, Spotgamma is adding 25 points to SPX to come up with an equivalent ES level. So that is the Spotgamma column, and it's marking the key levels. And then the second column is this C levels, cloud levels column. This is my notes, and I'm showing the support and resistance levels that are noted in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, and also key SPY levels converted to an equivalent ES level. And then finally the big round numbers in ES. So the key point here is that this put wall, the 3800 SPX put wall, held as support today. And I think this was the best setup of the day, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. And what I'll show is that traders were selling puts as price approached 3,800, and that level held, and S&P 500 rallied after that. All right. One thing that I want to point out is the levels that I use. And this is from yesterday, and this shows well, the point that I want to make is the levels that I use are based on three things. They're based on the options market, round numbers, and liquidity that's shown in Bookmap. And liquidity is the passive buy and sell orders that are shown in the heat map. And what this chart shows is the S&P 500 futures, the ES, reversed right at this LEM. That's the lower edge of the expected move. And that is the lower edge of the weekly expected move. And I mark those on my charts at the beginning of every week. And this is based on the options market. It's just there's a 1 standard deviation probability that price will stay within that range, the lower expected move to the upper expected move. And that changes every week. And it's based on implied volatility and the price at the time that this level was created. So those are that's one sort of options level that I use. The others are from Spotgamma, and those are the key levels for SPX and SPY for ES, for example, and again converted to equivalent ES levels. I also use round number levels, and especially on stocks and SPY and QQQ. And SPY often responds very well to round number levels, and I think it's important to keep track of those levels if you trade ES. So again, my levels are based on options, and this is SPY the same day, and this is showing the lower edge of the expected move for SPY, and SPY overshot that a little bit down to this 375 level, which actually became the put wall today. So this is from yesterday. Okay, so again, the important point here is the reversal higher at the put wall, the 3800 put wall, and then this reversal lower. Price overshot the this call wall, the 3835 call wall, and the 382 SPY 382 volatility trigger. And we'll look at the hero and see what options traders were doing at that time. Okay, so again, the point being, my levels are based on the options market, round numbers, and liquidity shown in the heat map in Bookmap. All right, so shifts in levels. Again, remember yesterday was a pretty strong down day with a rebound late afternoon at that lower edge of the expected move. And to be expected, there were some shifts lower in key levels. So for SPX and SPY, the volatility triggers both dropped, and those new volatility triggers are now shown on this ES chart. So ES SPX is trading slightly above the volatility trigger and slightly below the SPY volatility trigger, and those levels are shown here. And just as a reminder, the volatility trigger is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level, and below that the assumption is that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they will have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure, and just the opposite above there. So it's a negative gamma position for market makers below and positive gamma above. And also for SPY, both the put wall and call wall, or I'm sorry, the key gamma strike shifted lower and the call wall actually shifted higher. And then for QQQ, the put wall and call wall both shifted lower. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500 charts now. So I just want to take a quick look at the gamma levels. So let's go back to SPX here. And 4,000 is still the key gamma strike for SPX. And here it is. 3,800 is the put wall, and that's the support level that held this morning. And note the put gamma is shown in the teal lines below the 0 level. And then the call wall is, here it is at the 38.35 level, and that is the short call in the JP Morgan collar that expires on December 30th at the end of the quarter. And now let's take a look at SPY. And SPY, this is the key gamma strike. So the key gamma strike for SPY dropped down from 390 yesterday to 380 today. And that is the strike with the highest absolute gamma. And then the put wall shifted down to the 375 strike. And that is the strike with the highest net negative gamma. And the call wall is here at 390, and that is the strike with the highest net positive gamma. And let me just check for questions. Okay, no questions so far. Looks like YouTube is working okay. All right, so let's take a look at some of the data in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And one of the main things that I point out every day is gamma notional. And this is the market maker's position on the gamma curve. And given the drop in the markets yesterday, gamma notional, as expected, shifted a little bit lower today. So yesterday, SPX gamma notional was minus 319, and today it is minus 537. And yesterday, SPY gamma notional was minus 1182, and it shifted down to minus 1688. So gamma notional shifted more negative yesterday. And as I pointed out before, I compare morning to morning. So this is the number SPX previous from yesterday afternoon, and I look at I just compare the numbers from the one morning report to the next. So that is that's the gamma notional, and other measures of gamma like this Spotgamma gamma index also shifted more negative. So that just means that market makers are positioned lower down on the gamma curve, and in that situation, that means that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and their delta exposure will increase as price drops, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So they're trading in the direction of price in a negative gamma regime. So that tends to increase volatility. And that is illustrated with this Vanna chart here. And this illustrates and shows how market makers' delta exposure, delta notional, will increase as price falls, and that is shown by this teal line. That shows how market makers' delta exposure will change with changes in price and changes in implied volatility, and that is the Vanna effect. and then the black line shows how their delta notional changes as time passes, and that is the charm effect. And Trader HE, have a great weekend, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and take care, and we'll see you next week. Okay, so this is for SPX, and this just shows how it changes over time. So, again, gamma notional became more negative today, and that just shows that's shown pretty clearly on this chart, and the same for SPY. Okay. Now let's take a look at some setups. So that is the preparation positional analysis that I do before the market opens. And now one last thing that I do, and let's go take a look here. This is my watch list. This little spreadsheet that I keep, and I keep track of the current key gamma strike for every stock on my watch list, and I compare it with the previous day. So this is from this morning, and this shows the key gamma strike for yesterday, the previous key gamma strike, and then the current key gamma strike shows the key gamma strike from Equity Hub this morning, Spotgamma Equity Hub, and I color code these. So a red number indicates that the price that the key gamma strike decreased from the previous day, and you can see there are a lot of red numbers here. So this is just another piece of information, another starting point. So based on this, my initial outlook for the day was bearish. All right, so now let's look at some setups, and we'll see that really did not. That played out very early in the morning, but markets rallied. It looks like a lot of markets rallied after the at the 10 a.m. data report, the consumer sentiment. So let's take a look at setups, and I'm just going to go through. I'm going to start with the best setup of the day, which was the S&P 500, and then I'm just going to go through my watch list. And one other thing, let's take a look at is the watch list that I posted this morning in as I do every morning in Bookmap Discord in the Options with Doug chat room. And this is my Spotgamma Hero watch list, sorted from the weakest signal to the strongest signal. And this is just showing how the current hero signal compares with the last, and it's shown a little bit more clear below with NVIDIA here, showing how it compares with the last 30 days, and that's the gray sliding scale here, and the last 5 days, and that's shown by the colored portion. So Moderna this morning, at the time that I posted this, which was about 9:55 a.m. Eastern Time, shows that the hero signal for Moderna was the weakest that it has been in the last 5 days and the last 30 days. All right, with that, let's go through some setups. So the first one, and I thought the best setup of the day, was this S&P 500 here. And let's take a look at Spotgamma Hero. let's go back. So I've got my list sorted just in alphabetical order here. And one thing to note, this morning, the signal for both ES and SPY were on the bottom of the list. And again, I sorted the list from weak to strong. So ES and SPY had the strongest signal. And this is a classic hero kickoff setup. And what I mean by that is, notice the divergence here in the hero signal. That's the purple line. This is the new interface, and I hope everybody can see this clearly. The purple line starts to make higher highs while the S&P 500 is making lower lows here before reversing higher. So the way that I handle this, once I see this divergence, I go to Bookmap, and I have two screens open. So I'll have this view of hero open on one screen, and I'll look at ES in Bookmap on my other screen and see this divergence, and I look for a level that could support a reversal. Look for a support level in this case with price falling, and that again was that 3,800 level. And let's just take a look and see. I'm going to break the signal into puts and calls, and we can see that traders were taking advantage of the drop in price to sell puts, and that's shown by this rising blue line. So as price was falling towards 3,800, traders were selling puts, and price eventually responded and reversed higher at the 3,800 level. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap again. And let me check for questions on YouTube. Okay, no questions on YouTube, so I will continue on here. And let's just zoom in on this. So this shows there were multiple tests of the 3,800 level. First test, second test, third test, right before the 10 a.m. data, and then this final test right here, and then aggressive traders step in. So this was the entry point. So I would typically wait until after the 10 a.m. data for before taking a trade. So this price jumped higher right after the data report, reversed lower at the SPY 380 put wall, tested the 3,800 SPX 3,800 level one more time, and then this is the best entry here at the break of this trend line and the reverse higher as aggressive traders step in and start to move price higher. And there are multiple targets above, really centered around this call wall. Whoops. Let me erase that. Grab the rectangle. So another pullback trend break entry up to the volatility trigger and the call wall, and then price overshot a bit. Okay, now I'm going to scroll a little bit. Oops. Sorry about that. So that was the long setup, the bullish setup this morning, clearly shown. And actually, I meant to show also. So the hero kickoff starts with the traders taking positive delta positions, and then notice the other traders coming in, shown by these rising lines in the subchart. So the blue line is showing that large traders were buying with iceberg orders. There were some buy stops triggered, and that's shown by the yellow line. And then aggressive traders are shown by this pink line here that shifts from pink to dark blue. And those are all shown here. All right, let's go back to Spotgamma Hero now. And notice how as price hits those levels above, those targets, the call wall, volatility trigger, traders take advantage of the high prices and they start selling calls. And this is pretty typical behavior in the S&P 500, is that traders will fade highs and lows with options. So as price, initially they were selling puts, and then as price gets to a certain level, that activity slows, and then they start most likely buying back their puts and start selling calls. And this is, again, very typical behavior in the S&P 500. And the great thing about it is it can provide a great leading indicator for price action in the S&P 500. All right, let's take a look now at SPY, which is very similar to ES. And the reason for that is that options trades in SPY are a key driver of price action in ES. Traders take options positions in SPY, and market makers hedge those with ES, with futures. So very similar setup here. Let's zoom in again. Pretty much the same thing that was shown in ES. Options trading leading price this morning, and that doesn't happen every day with the S&P 500, but when it does, it provides great signals. All right, let's just go take a look at SPY in Bookmap. So here's the reversal higher this morning. Right here, just after the 10 a.m. data. So above this 378 C1 level, that's a combo level, and C1 indicates that is the most significant of the combo levels. They're ranked from 1 to 4. So a C1 would be the most significant combo level, and that is combining SPY and SPX, absolute gamma levels. And as usual, the SPY round number levels are in play, often very significant levels for price to react. So as I pointed out before, with S&P 500, there are a number of ways to trade that. You could trade futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, your choice. Okay, the next setup was Apple. Let me just check for questions on YouTube again. Okay, no questions on YouTube. Okay, so the next setup was Apple. And notice the levels, the gamma levels, as well as liquidity and Bookmap were in play, but primarily at the time it was just the Spotgamma levels, and that is the 130 put wall, which as we've seen with the ES SPX, that level typically acts as support, and it did in Apple as well today, and that's the 130 level. And then the other level in play was this 132 hedge wall. So let's go take a look now at Spotgamma Hero. And actually, I'm going to zoom in on this a bit. And you can see the shift in order flow here. Notice all the green dots coming in before price increases. And those are buy minus sell market orders, and green indicates that buy orders are greater than sell orders. All right, so let's go take a look now at Spotgamma Hero. For Apple. And I thought this was a nice divergent setup this morning. Zoom in a bit. So notice this vertical purple line, that's the total line. And that is showing a big block order. And we can separate out puts and calls and see that there was a large block order for calls. So some large institution bought a number of calls. That's shown here. Whoops. And then traders continue to buy calls. and price reverses after the 10 a.m. data and makes a final test of the put wall level before rising higher up to the 132 hedge wall level. So again, the way I would treat this, I see this large block order for calls, look at Bookmap and see the 130 put wall level and expect that to act as support, and just wait for order flow in Bookmap to confirm the long entry. And that is a typical or classic divergent setup using Hero. Oops. And the next setup was Google. And I saw what looked like another divergent setup here. Let me zoom in a bit with this block order coming in. So there's the block order. Hero makes a higher high, and then price reverses higher after the 10 a.m. data. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. At Google. And there were no gamma levels in play on this reversal higher, but there was the 90 key gamma strike as a target was in play. And I'm just going to I just want to see if this kind of highlight this purple line. That's the lower edge of the expected move. And it's kind of obscured. It's right there at 88. And price reverses at right above this level, right after the 10 a.m. data, as there was traders were taking positive delta options positions and a natural price target at the 90 key gamma strike, and which is also a level of high liquidity. So this is an instance where all the levels that I look at line up in one key level. So it's a big round number, 90. Liquidity shown by the heat map in Bookmap shows the resting sell orders, and those orders attract price. And then finally, that is also the key gamma strike for Google, the level with the highest absolute gamma. All right, let's go back to Spotgamma Hero now. Well, we've seen enough of that. Let's go to the next one. And that's Moderna. And if you recall, that was at the top of the list of the hero signal list that I pointed this morning, ranked from weakest to strongest. So it was Moderna, Nvidia, and Tesla. And that, let's zoom in on this early morning section. And this was definitely bearish, showing the drop. You know, just look at all the pink dots there. So a lot of aggressive sellers. And there were liquidity targets, primary target at the 200 key delta strike, and then the next liquidity target down at 197. And let's go take a look at, sorry about that. I keep forgetting to turn that off. Okay. Let's go take a look at Hero now. Go to Moderna, and notice the Hero signal is still weak. And you know, that's shown price or Hero is just not rising, and the signal is still weak, which is the pretty much the opposite that it has been in the last few days. Moderna has been in the news, and again, here's the weak signal for Moderna. Let's zoom in, and this will show that calls were driving price action, and traders were selling calls, and most likely this is the calls that they have been buying during the week. So this morning, calls definitely driving price action. Traders are selling calls, and market makers are buying calls, and they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. So if you were fast, you could have caught a pretty nice drop here in Moderna. And let's go to the next stock on the list. Now again, I'm not going in the order of the list that I posted. I'm going in alphabetical order, picking out what I thought were the best setups of the morning. I'm going to break this out into puts and calls. And I thought there was a bullish put divergence this morning. Look at traders selling puts, and you could have interpreted this either way with traders selling calls, but it looked like to me this put signal was stronger. So let's go take a look at order flow and Bookmap now. And pretty choppy action in Netflix today. Anyway, there's the bullish setup in Netflix. And the next setup, Nvidia. And that was the next stock on the list this morning, ranked from weakest to strongest, and that really did not, unless you were very fast, did not necessarily play out. There's a quick drop at this trend line. And then aggressive sellers come in and drop it right down to the 149 liquidity level. Pause. It looks like they pause briefly at the 150 put wall, and that high liquidity there. And let's go take a look at Hero now. Let's go to NVIDIA. So there's strong correlation this morning, or yeah, especially in the morning up until about 11 o'clock or so. Strong correlation between options trades and price action. And a little bit of divergence here. So that's NVIDIA. There were better setups, and again, ES was the best setup of the day. QQQ. Let me just check for questions on YouTube. And David asks, are you able to get SPY levels in Cloud Notes? And the answer is no, not at this time. That is on my Spotgamma wish list for next year, and I'll send that email to Spotgamma shortly. So I hope they do that. That would save me a ton of time having to enter all those levels in my spreadsheet every day for all the stocks that I have in Bookmap. And David asks, why do the puts not follow when selling calls is happening? They're, I guess, two separate instruments, and the different traders may prefer to sell calls or buy calls, and or buy puts, sell calls, and vice versa. So in some stocks, there's often a very strong correlation, but not necessarily. So QQQ, and I thought let's zoom in on that. So I thought there was a call divergence this morning. And that's shown right here. And again, price checks whatever support level 3 or 4 times and reverses higher shortly after the 10 a.m. data, as traders were buying calls all that time. And let's go take a look at Bookmap now. Go to QQQ. And anybody else who who's interested, send that request to Spotgamma as well. I would love to see um, cloud notes for stocks, and I'm going to suggest this as a starting point, the 190 hero stocks, and as a minimum, yeah, QQQ and SPY, definitely. I would love to see Spotgamma cloud notes for those. It takes me a fair amount of time to mark those levels in uh, in my spreadsheet and get them up on this um, on these cloud notes every day. And here is the reversal higher in QQQ, and in this case it is at a C1 level, a combo level, in this case of QQQ and NDX. So it's going to be primarily QQQ at the 264 level, and that is a C1 level, and that's shown here. And there's the final test, the reversal higher a few minutes after the 10 a.m. data, and then the move higher to eventually to 268. And let's just go take a look at Hero again. I'm going to break this up into puts and calls again. So it looks like what happens at that 268 level is traders stop buying calls, and they start buying puts. So this activity levels off, and they start buying puts, and then they're selling their calls. And finally, let's take a look at Tesla. And as usual, there's a very strong correlation between price action and options trades. As traders trade options in Tesla, market makers typically hedge those trades immediately. And what I'm looking at here, there's a very strong correlation between puts, traders buying and selling puts, and price action. But you could interpret this as somewhat of a leading indicator with the calls. Traders are buying calls, and here they're buying calls and selling puts, and Tesla reverses. And let's take a look at Bookmap, look at the order and flow in Bookmap. Take a look at Tesla. So there's the setup in Tesla. And it looks like it takes Tesla a little bit longer to get going. It makes a series of slightly higher lows, and then finally reverses higher about 10:15, about 15 minutes after the consumer sentiment report, and then blast higher as aggressive traders come in. And start to move price higher. And it looks like there are no spot gamma levels that were in play today, but options trades were definitely driving price action. And let's just go take a look at Hero one more time. Go back to the total signal. And again, as usual with Tesla, there's a very strong correlation between options trades and price action. And let me check. Let's see, in Bookmap Discord, there's a question, do I get the Hero watch list weakest to strongest data pre-market? And no. So Hero is based on options trades, and equity options don't start trading until 9:30 a.m. So that's why I wait until typically somewhere between 9:45 and 10 a.m. to post it. And so you've got to, I wait a few minutes after the open when traders start trading options before posting the watch list. And let me check YouTube for questions. And no more questions there. Okay. At this point, I'm going to wrap it up. So again, the best setup today by far, the easiest to interpret, the best leading indicator, the leading signal was in the S&P 500. And primarily looking at the ES chart, that 3,800 level that was expected to act as support and has acted as support earlier in the week, acted as support today. And traders were taking bullish options trades as price moved down to that level. And that was just a very clear setup, and that was the best setup of the day. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone, all you diehards here on Friday afternoon before Christmas weekend, for watching, for your questions and comments. Everybody have a great holiday, Merry Christmas, and I will be here next week starting on Tuesday. So thanks again. Thank you very much for attending and watching, and thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you next week. Thanks again. Bye.